All right, well, there's a whole ton of stuff to get to, so nothing witty or humorous or cute or whatever you want to say to begin. And again, I'm really not a lot of that, but every once in a while I pretend to be a host. Welcome into Morning Brew with Jaffe and Razor. Getting right to it. All right, Razor, Bruins down 3-2. They lose to the Islanders in I think if you aren't a fan of either team, well, especially the Bruins, but I think you look at it and you say, oh my God, that was fun. I do. I think if you're not a fan of, the Islanders, people love it. They get the win. Bruins fans hate it for so many reasons. But you know what I mean? If you're not no skin in the game type thing, Isn't that a crazy game in many ways?
It is. And I feel that way about the Vegas and Colorado series and the Tampa and Carolina. Right. Those guys are flying around, and this one's different. This one's a little bit different from those. It's grinding. It's meat and potatoes. It's or at least one team. The other team's a little more skilled, but the one that's meat and potatoes is the one up 3-2 right now.
They're not prime cut either, meat and potatoes.
No,
they're their choice. But listen, man, listen. I've got a lot of time for the Isles. I mean, I do. Their fortitude, Razor, their mental fortitude is impressive to me. They're wholly, I'd be like, come on, guys, we're getting our asses kicked in the first. And they don't care. We've talked about that before. We're going to get into a ton of things right away. Let me just tell you, folks, that today's episode of Morning Brew with Jaffe and Razor brought to you by Sparks and the great people there at Spark Sharpener. Also by our friends over at Fazenda Coffee. And Wormtown and their craft hard seltzer. So we'll touch on all those a little bit later in the show, but big thanks, big props to all of them for making this possible right now. Dude, let's just get right to Tuukka. Let's just dive in, deep in, all right? No floaties in this one. Let's go. Third period begins. No Tuukka Rask. Swayman comes storming out, ready to go. We find out after the game, Bruce Cassidy calls it maintenance. Maintenance. That says to me, Tuukka made it known that he just wasn't right. It just, or is Bruce protecting him? What do you think? I think it's a Tuukka. Let it be known it just wasn't right. You showed in the post game, bud, the not that was it mishandling or different handling of the puck. How would you term it?
Yeah, it was different. It wasn't as crisp. He wasn't getting out, and you could see that throughout. And we know he's got something going on. And it started in the morning, obviously, with the pregame skate. I'm assuming that had something to do with the entire day. Now that's part of the narrative. That's part of the story. And it comes down to. I don't think he's protecting him. I think it's a matter of, we know he's got a back issue. He gave up 4 goals on 16. Let's try something else. This is as good a time as ever to put Swayman in. And on one sense, I get it. In the other, I feel like it's opened up a Pandora's box to a point. I feel like I would have loved to seen Tuukka go in there and maybe stop Nelson's shot and get it to overtime. They were already down, and that's where, that's where the real question, how, when he says he could have played, but he didn't. So did you take him out because you didn't that's where it's a little bit lost there for me, because again, we've already seen this team come back from 2 goals in the third period. I feel like they're still in the game at that point. And when you take him out, I feel like you might not be as much in the game, and you're trying to find a spark, or you're trying to find energy, and you don't want Tuukka to play anymore. So it was a little, we got answer on the health, but I think it was a little confusing, when he says he could have played, though, too. So I've never heard of maintenance in a Game 5 of the Stanley Cup playoffs.
Right. Because we don't exactly know the scenario, how it was handled. It is confusing,
and we won't ever know, and that's dressing room stuff. And what's going to be fat? Listen, the Bruins are at the point now, so I mean, either way, we're looking at a hopeful scenario in between the pipes for the Boston Bruins, whether that's a hopeful Tuukka Rask back or a hopeful this kid who's played 20 minutes and given up 1 goal on 3 shots can play.
Yeah.
So we're in a hope situation.
So I'm not here to argue on this, but the comment you made about you'd like to see Tuukka stop that one if he was in there. I kind of feel like because look, I thought in warm-up, verbatim, I said to Dale pregame, off air, something doesn't look right, his body language. And I normally don't say that, Razor. Mm-hmm. I always caution myself of overanalyzing stuff because that's what we do, right? I mean, we're in that biz, and the way the world works now, everything is analyzed. But I was watching him in warm up, Razor. I did not think he didn't look fluid. Mm-hmm. He looked. Everything was very. At one point he came out after just a few shots and he coasted around and he was hunched over. He stretched his back out of legs out, I should say, like hamstrings, numerous times over at the bench. Maybe this is all regular routine for him. It just felt different to me. Mm-hmm. Cool. And anyways,
yeah, he's got something going on, right? He does.
Right.
All
right. So if he can't go in Game 6, holy smokes.
Yeah, your hope. I mean, lightning hits in the bottle. You just hope. You don't know what it's going to look like. I mean, the guy went into this game as the second best save percentage in the league behind Carey Price, who is going to win the Conn Smythe if things continue. So you're looking at something different completely, and that's concerning, very concerning.
Yeah. I just hate how this is. Again, this is pretty obvious how this is all happening now, right now. You know what I mean? Like, doesn't feel good. It doesn't feel it. And this team's already dealing with stuff. Let's go to the penalty kill.
God.
We'll get to the penalties in a minute.
For me, it's
right. We'll get to the penalty calls and penalty kill. So Islanders had 3 power play goals on 4 power play shots. That's all they had. 4 power play shots. The Bruins coverage, especially middle and low, is lacking. And that's the nicest way I think I can say it right now. Mm-hmm. It just seems like guys are missing marks, late to rotate, and not picking sticks. Am I missing anything? And we know, and I couldn't agree more with Bruce on this. Not clearing the puck.
Clears.
The Tenorti play was bad luck.
No, that's that. Yeah, you can't put that on him. That's right. A broken stick, and then they're pooched because it's 5-on-3,
right?
5-on-3.5. Right. You're going to need something fortunate to happen to get out of it, and they're not good enough right now to have something fortunate happen on the penalty kill, at least at home. I mean, they've given up 6 goals, everybody, on 10 opportunities at home in this series to this team. They're not playing the Tampa Bay Lightning.
No.
And I give you give the Islanders credit, but they're not the Lightning.
No, and you're missing Carlo and Miller. Mm-hmm. We know that that's significant, but you can't yearn for it's. You'll love the one you're with, right, man? I mean, you can yearn for those that aren't there, but I don't know.
They're not doing you any good.
They're not doing you any good. I'm going to be very surprised if either of those guys play in Game 6. I know they're skating. I get it. I see it. I understand it. Or, you hear about it. I know they're skating, but I'm still going to be surprised. My guess is that Miller is closer than Carlo. But I don't see. So you're going to have to figure it out. I mean, let's talk about D for Game 6. There's no changes to make there. These are your 6.
Yeah, there's nowhere else to go. There's no more there. Zaborov's
not bringing in Zaboro.
He's not going to help the penalty kill. If it was a power play issue, maybe, but no. This is what it is for sure. You just need, I guess, better efforts at the end of the day, and you need to have them step up like they did. I thought they did a good job in Game 4. They obviously won in Game 3, so you just hope that they figure it out.
So here are your ice time minutes for the D-men in Game 5. Charlie McAvoy, 26:48. Matt Grzelcyk, 19:11. Mike Riley, 21:55. Jeremy Lauzon, 17:50. Connor Clifton, 15:15. And then Jared Tenorti played 15:36. Jared Tenorti played 4 minutes and 9 seconds on PK. He led all Bruins defenders, all Bruins players on the PK. Charlie McAvoy had 3:59 on the PK. Charlie also had 3 assists in the game. No practice scheduled for, what day of the week is it going to be tomorrow? What is it, Tuesday?
I have no idea what it was. It was
Tuesday.
It's Monday.
So Tuesday, no practice.
Yeah.
No
Tuesday.
practice. Okay. And actually I get that.
Yeah.
You're going to need that.
Yeah.
But these guys, I mean, just their, it's sticks and lanes better. I mean, the following of passes, figuring it out. I mean, there's no easy solution except to say there's got to be better. And I know that sounds like such crappy analysis, but you can't give Barzal that much room on that first goal. You can't. You made the point we were talking in game about how Barzal loves to snipe short side. That's his shot. Loves that quick release right there. Tuukka, you thought came off the post a little on that one, though, right? Right before?
Yeah, I thought he did, but it got to a point where he had to as well because Barzal was able to get so close to the middle of the ice. Usually someone's closing out on that, or you should be closing out on that a little bit earlier, and then Tuukka can really hold on that overlap and just take that one in the shoulder. But once he pulls off a little bit, but the reality is Tuukka blinked first, and I think that was typically we see both. That's a combination where you typically see Carlos step up or Miller stepping up a little bit earlier there, and then Tuukka can take it. There's no in between, which I think there was a little bit of that on that goal.
That's a good way of describing it. In between. That's exactly how it felt, right? There, right?
Yeah.
At least to me.
Yeah. Both in between, and it's so hard. It's hard to, like you just said, it's hard to analyze it, because the reality is they outshot this team 44-19. They had tons of chances in the whole thing, and they lose. And
dude, they didn't extend the lead. They did not extend the lead. That was huge in the first period. Huge. Yeah. All right, let's get to the first. Let's go. Let's get to the first. And dominant start. Started with a great first line shift. Simple, but straight line, great first line shift. Wagner gets a shot. Pucks in deep. All that good hockey cliche 101 stuff. And then you start rolling all the other lines. And everybody looked good. Everybody looked good for a while. Puck possession. Using each other to, give and go. Short passes. Changing the point of attack, as I like to say. Using the back of net for that. I mean, and by the way, what an effort by Marchand.
Oh, man.
To get the puck back and get it to the point, less than 2 minutes in. And then Pasternak and his one-timer. I mean, you look at that and you're like, that's the start. Not that just they need it. That's the start we've been waiting for. They've had good starts all along, but to capitalize so early, Razor, I thought would make such a difference.
Absolutely. They couldn't have drawn up the first 16 minutes of that period any better. I mean, the chances, the opportunities, and it's the game that he had, that Brad Marchand had, his ability to get pucks and take pucks out of the corner. Every time he went in the corner, he came up with it. Every time he was in the neutral zone, he won a stick battle. And the one takeaway from his game is the empty net he missed it, along the line, where he's a millimeter from hitting Varlamov's skate and going in. He's a millimeter from hitting the post and going in, and it finds that in between. And it's similar to Pasternak. You look at it again, you realize how much time he had there. He could have taken it a little bit more of a step out towards the front of the net, and it's easy. I know how hard it is. It's just a point of both of those guys. If they lose in 6 games, you're going to look at both of those plays and say, what if? And that's how close of a fine line this series is. David missing to go up 1-0, which we don't really know, but this one was going to go up 2-0. And like you just said, it would have massively changed the game.
Yeah, I'm not going to guarantee a victory because, again, I don't think the Islanders would have broke. Mm-hmm. It's not in their DNA, but it's a different vibe. It goes from being we got our asses kicked in the first period and we're down 1-0. Oh, wait, we're tied 1-1, and we'll get to that in a moment as well, to being, oh, man, we really got our butts handed to us, and it's 2-0, and boys, we got to be better. But again, look, I'm being serious. I mean, the Islanders, full respect for them. Their ability to move on in adversity, or, you know what I mean, it's impressive. Mm-hmm. And
listen, the Bruins is too, though. That's the thing. That's
right.
the kicker for
You're
me
right.
Is that it's not that they're outdoing the Bruins in that area. The Bruins, of all the difficulties of tonight's game, I'm giving the Bruins more of a gold star for having to fight through Tuukka coming out of the net, for them not giving up at the end of the game, for them going down 5-2 and still
having to deal with the officials
having
too,
to deal with penalties,
and having to deal with the officials.
Bad penalty kill. Those like the leaders on the Bruins to continually go that's the one difference. A lot of times, one team does it, one team doesn't do it. In this series, both teams are able to do what you're saying and not being resilient and coming back and never out of it and never feeling bad about themselves. And that's what's also frustrating, that they're down, because you know how much they've put into it. It hasn't been from lack of will. It's just the way the cards have fell at this point. And which
maybe what makes it such a good series.
Yes,
you know, that's what makes
it far from over.
Both teams
and far from over.
And far from over. Right. Listen, I'm one usually not to gripe about the officials. Not because I was one for a couple of years and stuff at the college level and everything. It's not. It's because we live in an imperfect world. We want everything to be perfect, but yet when it's imperfect, you know what I mean?
Yeah. No, it's a hard job at the end of the day, too.
But besides, it is a hard job. You're absolutely right. But just that first call alone, and really the bigger issue that I had was the calls that weren't made, and I think that was pretty evident in this game. By the way, I thought the few of the calls made on the Islanders penalties were crappy, too. They were crappy.
They evened up the Corrali one, which was brutal in the first, and the third, or the second, late at the second. The Eberle was the exact same play. It's both calls. Don't call that. It's garbage. It's awful. And you're calling them at the end of periods when it can really make a difference in the game. Like that shouldn't that should not change these games. They're too good at games.
I said it on the air, and I'll say it here again. The official, Francis Charon, in the first period, called what he expected to happen, not what did happen. Mm-hmm. He saw Corrali's stick go parallel, and he saw it extend a little. And by the way, I think it happened right after the shot was released. That was one thing, too. But he expected that to be a bigger slash. My take. You can't call what you expect. You have to call what you see. Again, just my take. And you know I do not bitch about the officials much. Yep. That much. I have a gripe with that one. I have a gripe with some of the others that were not called more than anything. I do.
Well, that's the problem. You open the box when you call that one, because then you got to call a lot of stuff,
which they didn't.
And that's the issue. That's right, and that's what's maddening, and that's what drives everybody crazy. Because, and you know, you can argue the Wagner one. You can argue that one's easier to argue. I mean, you punched him in the face, but at the same time, there's lots of that going on out there, and how you decide to pick that one, you know, that's the problem. And I get it. There's a lot going on out there. It's just easier not to call any.
Well, exactly, it is.
That's the bottom line. And for some reason, they feel like they need to. I don't get it.
Yeah. What about it? I'm actually in the minority about the delay game penalty. I'm actually okay with that call. I know some people hate it. Fine. I'm like, look, it's a black and white thing. I don't want to put more judgment into the heads of officials. Did he do it intentionally? Did he not do it intentionally? It's the rule. It's the rule. Okay. Bergeron's was obviously a delay game. We know it. But what happened before that? I think one of the damn things that they should use replay for is delay a game, for crying out loud.
It's the only one. It's black and white.
Right.
It's easy. It's easy. All right, well, look. It takes 2 minutes to look.
It just doesn't make sense.
And we know it makes zero sense that they'll go and call a 5-minute major to see the gray area stick in the nuts.
Right.
But they can't go to the black and white. Did it touch somebody while it was going out? That makes zero sense. Yeah. I said the same thing when that happened in the third period. That's the easiest one to replay. Maybe the only one they should replay.
I'm with you. And if the puck goes across the line, that's the two things that you use replay for, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Are we at the point, and I really don't want to go heavy tangent here, but I got to ask this. Are we at the point where officials should be made available for questions after games? Or should they be protected? It opens up.
I think it. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you got to be careful with that, because the same way, I don't think they necessarily always have the answers of what they're calling, and I think it could make it worse. I think if you have these guys going out there and I think it's better them being protected. I like not knowing who they are. I like not making a difference. What I would, and I like it the way it is. I want to hear less from the refs. I don't want to hear about them.
You don't want like a pool of reporters.
Because what are they going to say? Like, you hear the reported questions. Charlie McAvoy, what do you think about Jeremy Swayman going in the net? You know what I mean? Like, half the questions, you're not getting anything anyways. No. So are you going to get something from the refs when you ask them tough questions? I don't know.
Right. So meanwhile, because you've got to provide them then with their own video replay after the game so they can look at things and all that stuff. I'm with you actually on. I'm just asking the question here. I don't need to have a whole pool of reporters asking refs questions. The refs are getting graded. They get graded, and how do they move on? They move on to each round. Yeah. Obviously, the better rated ones. I don't know. I'd maybe love to hear from maybe a supervisor though. Maybe I'd consider that. Maybe there's a supervisor that would talk on behalf of he doesn't actually hear. He wouldn't know without having talked to the guys what they saw or what they didn't. But again, I just didn't think it was I didn't think it was a well officiated game tonight. I just didn't.
No,
I didn't. And it had too much impact on the game for my liking. All right. With all that said, you've got to kill the penalties, and the Bruins didn't. Yes. And the Bruins didn't. So, all right, we've moved past that. Thank you for engaging me there for a little.
It's important.
So great first period, yet they don't extend the lead. In fact, they go in tied. And I thought that Barzal goal was a major turning point in the game. Major turning point. I don't care that it was still just 1-1. I thought it changed a ton in this game. The Bruins come out. They go into the second period. Kyle Palmieri, 4.5, almost 5 minutes in, on the power play, scores a goal. We have already talked about how they were lacking on the PK. Bruins, though, handle it pretty well. And about 2.5, 3 minutes later, Brad Marchand with another human highlight reel, unfreaking believable individual effort goal. This guy's compete level. One of my buddies texted me, former coach, that this guy has to go down as of his generation, of one of the great Boston athletes of all sports and his compete level. And I agree with him. It's amazing.
No one competes more. It's not even close. And
is he up there with an Edelman? Goal. Is he up there with a guy like that, with like an Edelman or something? I think so.
Yeah, I guess.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Now, Edelman has more championships. I get it. But I'm talking from the individual effort level. Wouldn't you agree?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and there's no one's matching him on the ice at any point. throughout any of the games, and that's what puts them at that next level. And you think after that goal, all right, they're rolling, and they didn't score. They didn't extend there. They didn't get the next one, and they needed the next one, and
Yes.
they had more than enough chances to get the next one. Varlamov stood big. They didn't find a hole at some point on some of the good chances, and then another penalty, and that's the story of the way that period went. Because if they get it to 3-2, then I think they're laughing, and they couldn't do that.
Yeah, I agree. Because after that Marchand goal, the place was electric again after being very cautiously quiet. And once that goal went in, that place, it's the old roof would have blown off if they went up. But they didn't. Josh Bailey scores at 14:30. Jordan Eberle scores at 16:38 to make it a 4-2 Islander lead. I thought that, obviously the top line again was dominant. I don't have their analytics numbers in front of me. I don't know if you do or not, but I thought they were.
No.
I thought they were, dominant again. Didn't matter who they were out there against.
No,
they're dominant.
Yep.
Bergeron was better in the faceoffs. By the way, not one Islander got kicked out of a faceoff today on Monday night. Not one. Bergeron 4 times, 3 times, I believe. Krejci, anyways, too much. I promise I'm done now. What do you want to go to first? Second line or the third line? Because you got a lot out of one and not enough out of the other.
Third line was awesome. Richie was awesome. Kuhlman did a great job. Coyle looked engaged right away. And they were very good, more than exactly what they were lacking. For as bad as they were in Game 4, they were that good in Game 5. So loved their effort, loved their contributions, and the way they were going in the first, you're like, all right, they're going to roll everybody over, and it's going to be real tough for the Islanders to keep up. But they did it all game, so definitely very positive vibes on the third line. Well done by Kuhlman to jump in, well done by Richie to answer the bell, and Charlie Coyle doing his thing.
All right, so let's give Carson Kuhlman, in his 10 minutes and 36 seconds, his 3 shots on net, his 3 hits, and a couple of other attempts, the fresh cup.
Yeah.
Because he was the freshest one in the lineup. You good with that?
If he ever gets confident to the point of, like, I'm going to score every time he gets a shot every shift. Every time he's on the ice, he gets a shot on net, or he gets an opportunity to shoot on net. If he could ever figure out that confidence and that this is just going to go in somehow, look out, because he does generate really well. So yes, definitely spark for Kuhlman. He gets the sparks of the game.
Yeah. Oh, you want to give him a spark, or you want to give him a fresh? Whichever one. Where do you want me to go first? I just got to talk about it quickly. You tell me.
Let's go Sparks, because he's a spark plug.
All right. So then you think of a fresh cup coming up. So the Sparks,
I got a fresh
spark
cup
of the game. All right, good. Goes to Carson Kuhlman. Brought to you by Spark Sharpener. Our friends over there have the most convenient, the most accurate, the easiest to use piece of hockey skate sharpening equipment you could ever want to use. Sparks with an X, SPARX, sparkshockey.com is where you go. And if you use the code MORNINGBREW, they will give you free shipping. They're not offering that to anybody else. This is a piece of equipment, costs $699, and that's down a couple of hundred from their previous machine. That pays for itself within a year and a half, and it is the simplest, easiest thing. I use it regularly, at least 1 or 2 days a week. So does Razor. Check out sparkshockey.com, and they will usually get the order and ship it the same day, if not, for sure, the next day. All right, who's your fresh cup? Brought to you by Fazenda.
My Snap Chill Fresh Cup is going to, and an unfortunate situation, Lazar, because I think that changed the game as well, not having him in the lineup. So we haven't given it to him. It's not necessarily how we've done, but I think he proved his mettle not being in the lineup tonight, because it made it tougher for the entire group to continue the momentum they had going when he dropped out on the first shift in the second period.
Because the fourth line played real well. Good first shift, as I said.
They had a
game.
great first period. Yeah. It was the first shift, but it was the second, third, fourth. Like, they got the puck out of their zone right away. They put pucks in, and it just jumbled up the lines after that. I felt like it just jumbled up the momentum and the rhythm that they had. Because the first period, I don't know if you looked, I'm sure you did, the time on ice, everybody was 4.5. Every single line.
Yep.
Every single line was 4.5 minutes. So Curtis Lazar is my guy for not being in the
All right.
lineup.
Yeah, he if he can't play, and it looked like I would say pretty obvious knee injury to me. I mean, the contact was made going into the corner. Who did he hit again?
Pelech.
Is it Pelech?
Yeah.
It's Pelech, yeah. And they connect his knee, and I don't know if it was upon contact initially or when he started to tumble down. Regardless, the way that he labored off the ice in favor, he was the left leg was off the ice. It just looked like you could see the knee move a couple of times.
Yep.
So that's a big freaking loss, Razor, for this team.
It is.
If he can't go, Corrali, who was doing well, as you said, on the fourth line. I did not like how he did not clear the puck on that PK, though. Yeah. He left it in his own. Like, what? Don't mess around with it. Get it out. That was one of the big non-clears that you controlled. He didn't get it out. Yeah. I'll get back to Lazar, though. Fazenda Coffee, our friends over there that have done awesome stuff with us. FazendaCoffee.com/morningbrew is where you go. You order $35 or more, and you also can get a Morning Brew with Jaffe and Razor mug. They've gone through a lot of them, Razor. I got a note from our buddy Pete over there, and he said, we're getting to the point where we only got a good handful left. It's not like 2 or 3, but it's not like tons either. He says, we've gone through a lot. So thank you very much, fans. Really, you guys are awesome. Ordering up a bunch of those. So FazendaCoffee.com/morningbrew. Boston specialty coffee roasters. Started in Boston, is still here in the Boston area. Razor loves his snap chilled. So does RC. And I've got some more of those that we've got to get out. I like it too. I got to admit it. I really love the snap chilled. And working on my French roast with them. And we got some other ground coffee too that my wife and I are enjoying. So FazendaCoffee.com. Go to FazendaCoffee.com/morningbrew. And again, 35 or more. Get you the free mug included in your order. Curtis Lazar gets our fresh cup for being not injured, but as Razor said, so important and showing his value. And lastly, thank you as well to Wormtown, Craft Hard Seltzers, Black Cherry, Lemon Lime, Cranapple, and Orange Zest. They 2 grams of carbs, beg your pardon, just 100 calories. They don't expect to be the first seltzer you've tried, but they want it to be your last. They love these, and I love these too, Razor. They are perfect on a 90-plus degree day. And so hot. I'm going to need a few of them, I think, tomorrow. Go to Wormtown Brewery /Our Seltzers, wormtownbrewery.com/Our Seltzers to check them out. What are we going to do about the second line, though? Not getting enough out of Kyle Palmieri. I'm sorry, Kyle Palmieri. Geez, sorry. Out of Taylor Hall. Palmieri, well, because Palmieri's he's stepped up. He's stepping up for this team. He's producing. He's and could Taylor Hall, doesn't have that same get to the middle, doesn't have that same zip, that a little quiet, I thought, handling the puck and everything. I mean, Craig Smith, we know he's battling something. I thought he was more effective in the previous game than he was in Game 5.
And that's pretty typical when you're injured. The first game, you get a little adrenaline, you get through it, and then it hurts more because you played through it, you made it worse. You make it worse. He made it worse. Whatever he's got going on, it just continually gets worse. It certainly doesn't get better after just 1 day of rest. So he's going to, you just hope that it didn't get worse tonight and he can gain a day tomorrow. But that's whatever he's got is going to continue. And I think we know how important he is to that line and him getting that speed over on the other side and opening things up for the other two guys. And I mean, Hall had a great chance to score. He had that one-timer. Varlamov made a great save on him.
He did.
Really nice read.
Yes, he did. If
that goes in, that changes a little bit of the narrative, I think. Krejci scores, so the line, he was out there for that. Listen, again, it goes.
I think they need more from the line.
Yeah,
though.
no,
I do. I think they need more from it.
They do. It's just like offensively, they still scored 4 goals. So you bring it all the way back to don't give up 3 goals on the penalty kill. You know what I mean? Like I think if they win 4-2, Krejci scores, everything's good. But at the end of the game, at the end of the day, they didn't. None of that happened. They lost, and the second line needs to do just a little bit more in Game 6 and Game 7 for them to pass through.
It's pretty obvious, right? Trent Frederick comes into the lineup.
Yeah, Corelli moves to the middle.
Freddie comes in on the left. Corelli moves to the middle. Yeah.
DeBrusk.
I mean, Nick Ritchie did. I mean, he was awesome.
Oh no,
He was awesome.
I'm
So,
saying that maybe instead of Frederick, DeBrusk checks back in on the left side on the fourth line. Corelli moves. To the middle.
Sorry. Yeah. Maybe. I don't know. Is this that moment where you look at Jake and you're like, look, man, you've been in and out a couple of times this year. And you've come back and you've been hungry. And, you know, Brick and I were talking post-game. Jake DeBrusk is as fast as anybody, or faster, in the Bruins lineup with regard to straightaway speed. But he doesn't have that Kuhlman third effort, forget second effort, even third effort, right? Or maybe even the second effort enough that determines if you're going to win that puck battle. So do you want that on your fourth line, or do you bring in a kid
and just hope
that you say,
there you go, let him loose?
You know he's going to be hungrish.
Yeah, don't take a penalty. That's
Right.
the last thing you tell him when you go out there, and do whatever else, but don't slash somebody.
Where do you think they'll lean on this one? I thought it was going to be Freddie, if only just because they're going to say fourth line. Now, the truth is, your point about DeBrusk is, if they need something in the game, it's the potential upside of DeBrusk is greater. The thought of the potential.
You're just sitting there. That's the issue, and that's hard. Listen, it's easy for all of us to pine for Frederick, right? It's easy for everybody on Twitter to Frederick. But if you're sitting in the room and you know that Jake DeBrusk gives you the upside, or the potential upside, it's hard not to pull the trigger on that every single time, because you sit there and you say, listen, he just needs to do the one thing that we know he can do that changes the game. And that's why the coach's room's hard to sit in, because there's guys like that make you mad.
Right. My thing is this, though. Okay, DeBrusk, more offensive upside or potential, right, than Frederick. But does he change the DNA of that fourth line to where now, you know, you're not winning as many battles? It's not straight line hockey. I don't know. It's not, does he do that? On the other hand, does Frederick give you enough to say, here you go, play your straight line, and don't worry about scoring? You know, Jake tantalizes with
that's the issue. That's the issue. And Kuhlman does that. We know that. That's the difference. Kuhlman definitely, he's a guarantee straight line, going to do his thing.
He's proven that.
They count on that, and they know it. He's proven that. Frederick hasn't proven that. And that's where it's going to be it's a back and forth. I'm sure they're going to have that back and forth.
I'm real curious to see that decision. I am. A couple of other things that I want to go over. I really want to see Matt Grzelcyk shoot the puck more. I really do. Razor, I feel like he gets it into some spots here and there.
He's got to be better offensively.
Yeah. You know, great mobility.
Why is he only playing 19 minutes when they're down 3 goals? 2 goals. Why? You right?
Well, he doesn't kill penalties. So, and then I know there's the difference, I think, in his minutes. You know, otherwise, if it's even strength, he's out there probably 24 minutes in this game.
Mm-hmm.
You know, don't you think? I mean, I think. But
yeah. Now,
I mean, if Lazar can't play, we're assuming he can't. And again, we don't know. I mean, but it's assumption is there, again, not coming back. I don't know. It's a big loss. I'm just personally not expecting Carlo or Miller to play. I'm just not yet. I think they're close, but tall task, man.
I know this isn't I'm completely tongue in cheek here, but is there any way to go 8 defensemen and just put those guys out there on the penalty kill? Just put them back there, and as soon as the puck comes down the ice, just take them off the ice. That's what I would. I know that's not realistic. I know that can't happen, but that's where I'm at with the penalty kill tonight.
Well, if one of them is good enough to play, maybe you go 7D. Maybe that's what you do. You have to, maybe.
You go 7D, and I'm not joking. There's 8 minutes of penalty kill. They play 4 of those minutes.
Yeah. John Cooper
That's
with
how bad
Tampa
it was.
Lightning. He does that a lot. He loves the 7D. Not many coaches do like it, but
and listen, put it on Coyle, Krejci, Bergeron. You guys are playing 25 minutes each. Go.
Right. No choice.
No choice.
All right. So with all that said, what do you think of the team's chances now? Heading. I mean, or do you want to refrain until you know who's in the lineup?
No. I'll go on the limb. I still think they get this. I still think they can win. And I'm not being a home. I'm watching these games and I'm watching them dominate. I'm watching them. The resilience that these guys have as well. I just don't know. They're not giving in Game 6, and they're talented enough. They have enough guys that can make plays. I think they bring it back for Game 7. I do. I'm shocked that they're in this position. So I'm completely wrong already. But I'm not betting against Brad Marchand, Patrice Bergeron. I'm not.
It's hard to bet against them, but my feeling is this right now, because I have such respect for them. Feel like they're getting beat up again. I do, in some ways. I feel like they're getting beat up. We've seen this in some other series. Obviously, 2019 comes to mind right away, that one. Mm-hmm. They're back. I do think that this team they're awesome in many ways. I do think they need to get more physical. I do, Razor. That's something they're going to have to address. Now, you bring in Lazar for a full season, right? You hopefully Richie, continues to be that way, but they're going to need to be more physical, especially on the back end, especially back there. I think big horse, and now you got Carlo, but he's injured. Miller,
just go on the market and find a Victor Hedman. It's easy.
Yeah, it's easy. It's simple. All right. Anything else? What else? I missed something? I'm sure I did.
No, we hammered it. Listen, Game 6, they were down 3-2 to a much better Toronto Maple Leafs, much more talented. They were down 1-0 on the road in that game. They came back and won, and then you win in Game 7. So there's a roadmap for these guys.
Yeah, there is. The Islanders, I'll tell you this though, they feel like this is their time, and that can be powerful.
Yeah, sure. I mean, they can feel whatever. I mean, I think either one of these teams is going to have their hands full against the Tampa Bay Lightning. So I would agree with you about say that their time is.
I would agree, but that's really getting ahead of ourselves. Then right there. So I'm not even worried about the next round. I'm worried about just the next day right now for this team. From a Bruins perspective, let's hope that Curtis Lazar's injury isn't as significant. I'm sure they will go through tests and everything big time on Tuesday.
So hopefully they have a goal.
Find out what. And then I was going to say, and let's figure out what. Look,
it's going to be.
There's no practice on Tuesday, so we're not going to know anything until Wednesday.
It's going to be.
Oh my God!
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. It's going to be nice.
I hate hypotheticals, and I'm doing my best. I'm doing my best not to ask you this. I really don't want to.
No, I know.
But
I
what
don't know.
if he doesn't?
I don't know. And
all right, we will talk about that if he can't play in that game, and then
we're talking about
we've got a lot.
It's a big story, no matter what in Game 6. No matter which way it falls, no matter who plays, who doesn't play, how they don't play, how great they play, how bad they play. Game 6 is all about what's going on back there. Right?
The script, man. Unbelievable.
It is unbelievable.
I truly hate that we're back here again.
I do too. You try and avoid it, but it's as the game as it gets further away, it's even more apparent of how big of a deal it is.
Yeah. All right. Well.
Yeah.
I guess with less than 48 hours, about 30 hours, 36 hours or so, we'll know. Now,
We legitimately
if people
could
are
talk about
listening.
this for another 3 hours. That's how crazy
I
Game
know.
5 is.
Talk ourselves into
Yeah.
in circles, but also there's a lot to talk about it there. But Bruins lose 5-4, Game 5 at home. The New York Islanders do their thing.
Yep.
The Bruins almost come back, but almost does not matter at all. That's going to wrap this Morning Brew with Jaffe and Razor up. Again, big thanks to Sparks and the Spark Sharpener, Fazenda Coffee, and our friends over there, and Wormtown and their craft hard seltzers. All right, folks, it's still going to be a bit warm in the Boston area on Tuesday. Have a nice coffee in the morning, sharpen your skates, and then have a hard seltzer in the afternoon. It's a perfect day. And Bruins going to get back at it on Wednesday. Razor and I will come back and talk to you after the game on Wednesday as well. We look forward to that. We thank you for your support. And I want to wish everybody a wonderful Tuesday. I think there's going to be a lot of people that are going to be a bit ticked off out there about many different things, Razor, on Tuesday and Wednesday before the game. But I hope everybody, as always, enjoys their morning brew.